This video will be a bit different from the stuff I usually make, but I've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff online and thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about it. Let's start with the first story from r/offmychest on Reddit. I can't stand up to my friend or I will come across as fat phobic. And before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know I did have to kind of clean it up a little bit. There were some parts that made it a little difficult to read. But let's start. I'm really tired of my roommate criticizing what I eat, how I eat in my low-carb diet. For the past year, she's made comments about how she only ever sees me eat rice noodles or spaghetti for carbs, while I mostly consume meat, eggs, fish, and chicken. She even says avocado tastes like Vaseline. I am on the slimmer side and she's bigger, but for some reason she thinks it's okay to comment on my eating habits. My mother raised me to never judge others how to eat, and honestly, I can't even imagine myself walking up to a friend and criticizing their diet. But lately she's been trying to lose weight and going to the gym, which I'm genuinely really happy for. She seems to feel good about herself, and that makes me happy too. Now she's copying everything I do, prioritizing protein and whatnot. The same thing she used to call restrictive. She brings up food and nutrition just to throw shade, saying, I eat carbs, I'm not restrictive on myself. Which is clearly meant to be a diss, kind of aimed at the poster here. I've even overheard her telling her sister that she doesn't know how I survive without carbs. Once she asked me for advice on losing weight, I told her what worked for me, and she immediately said she will not stop eating carbs, so I dropped the subject. Now it feels like she's trying to convince me I have an eating disorder while copying my diet and criticizing me. If I made comments about her eating, I'd be called fat phobic. Every time I cook, she peeks at my food, acts surprised, and even dances when I make something with carbs, like I never eat them. She reposts things about She reposts things about loving being fat and how avocados are disgusting, clearly hoping I'll see them. I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but I'm beyond pissed and trying to hold my tongue. Your roommate, first off, aside from the whole fitness thing, sounds awful, right? She does not sound like a great person. There are some people who just kind of like to make comments, right? Which I'm not saying is okay or acceptable, but I think there are people who, like you said at the end, you're trying your best to hold your tongue. There are some people who don't. They kind of just say every single thing that comes to their mind, and that might be the case here. And I think it's important to be careful with confronting her on this, because like you said, you're scared to be called fat phobic, which is a real concern here. I think, because your goal here isn't to make her like feel bad, right? You're just trying to be like left alone, and kind of enjoy your life however you choose to live it. What I would say is important is that when you do talk to her, you don't aim the conversation towards dieting or, health, fitness, the way, that conversation tends to go. Bend it more as a friendship thing. Like, hey, we're friends and I really appreciate our friendship, but it does hurt my feelings. Like, it feels you dismiss a lot of the advice I give you. And I don't have a problem with you choosing not to follow it, but it feels like you kind of throw it in my face sometimes. So if you feel that strongly about it, like, I think it's a good idea we just don't talk about it, because I care and I don't really want us to like get in stupid arguments over anything like that, because my feelings do get hurt when you throw back the advice you asked for in my face. So for future reference, let's just not talk about it, or if we do talk about it, just take it as an open conversation and not advice. Something along those lines. Because if you were to say like, hey, I'm trying to help you lose weight and you're being a dick about it, then she's going to immediately be on the defensive, one, because you're insinuating she needs to lose weight, even though it's her advice she's asking for, I know. I'm also a bigger person, so I can comment on this. You are, I think, being very kind about it. I think you're being a little too kind about it, if anything. Yeah, just be real. Make it a friendship thing. Don't make it a thing about how you're just trying to help. Just say, hey, hurts my feelings when you do that. And I think you guys will kind of deal with that pretty well. This isn't a question, but I saw this also on r/offmychest. This is a really short one. There's no question or kind of anything here, but I just thought it was really funny. Also, slight spoilers for the show Invincible, season 3, I think episode 7. So, spoiler warning. This says, I quoted Invincible during sex. Me and my girlfriend were doing the D tonight. She asked me if I want to try degradation. I was like, okay, smiley face, and started saying some insulting things. One of the things I said was the line, I wouldn't even keep you as a slave in my empire, which is a line from Invincible, and I was so shocked at myself for just saying that from Invincible during sex. I'd like to say that's just funny. I don't know if your girlfriend knows what that's from, if she's aware. of kind of what you were speaking in reference to. I'm looking through the comments. I don't see anything about you kind of following up on what her reaction was. But honestly, if she doesn't know what it's from and she likes it for whatever reason, live your life, man. No hate. Use artists draw inspiration from everywhere. And you're drawing inspiration from Invincible, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, really. This is a very interesting one here. I'm going to read this whole thing as it's written because I think it was written pretty decently. I have a friend that I've known since I was 11. They're going to be homeless soon, and I will not help them. My friend, who I will refer to as a non-gross, that means they're a 4chan user, has been unemployed since January, living on universal credit and has been evicted from their place today. I feel like my friendship with the non has been one-sided since at least 2018. I bailed out on non and financially supported them numerous times after they were kicked out of their parents' house. I will not go into detail, but Anon makes incredibly stupid decisions with his finance. He says he will one day pay back everything he owes me. He's been saying this for years. That, along with all the manner of broken promises, like we'll go traveling the world together, I'm tired of being led to false hope. I could have sent him the money he needs in order to stop him from getting evicted. I told him I had no money for the month. Anon needs to either beg his parents to take him back or suffer the consequences of his actions like a man. If I help Anon now, I'll be stuck helping him for the rest of his life. He's baggage and a magnet for misfortune. I cannot afford this friendship. I'm not his dad. I'm confident that if our roles were reversed, he would have ditched me years ago. That being said, I know this is difficult. I know it is difficult to be homeless and to get off the street. I do not care, but I do care at the same time. I hope the best for him, but if Anon were to die on the street because I chose not to help him, that's just how the cookie crumbles. I made the best choice for myself. I'm not Superman. I'm not even Clark Kent. Making the morally correct choice will cause me more problem that I do not want. So I'd like to start with the fact that you are aware you're kind of making the wrong call here. He says it's not the morally correct choice. And also, to be clear, you don't have to give your friend money. You just really don't. You don't owe him anything. Like I said, you guys are friends, but that doesn't mean you have to continuously kind of support him. The only look around I could see to this to kind of defend the friend who's about to be homeless. Oh, he's making stupid decisions. He's making stupid decisions with his finances. But it's like decisions he has to make, like, choose to pay a bunch of money towards a debt or, invest, right? And the smarter move would be to invest or whatever. But he's paying off the debt because he's choosing to do that. The only other way I could see kind of being like, oh, fuck you to the poster is if he's super rich. Like, if you're like a millionaire, you have like a best friend, you guys are super tight. I think it's kind of like, do what you can, but whatever. That's a personal opinion. The one part I really don't like about this is the part where he talks about how his friend tells him he's going to pay him back. And he says, like, he's been saying that for years. That, along with the manner of broken promises, like we'll go traveling and go around the world together. I'm tired of being led to false hope. Fuck you. I'll say it. You have a friend who's poor and like really struggling financially to kind of get their stuff together. And you're like, yeah, I don't trust them because they won't travel with me for some reason. They are not in a circumstance to do this fun traveling around the world idea you have. I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's like, oh, we promised to do it together. So what? Like, right? Like, this is your friend and you're mad at him because he's not doing so well in life. I don't know. It's a very, like, he wants the best for his friend, but he's also saying these really weird things about him. And he has a part where he says, if I help him now, I'll be stuck helping him for the rest of my life. No, you won't. Yeah, I hate to say it, but why? Why would you be stuck helping him for the rest of your life if you kind of help him out another time? Again, I'm not saying he has to help him. I just don't like the reasons he's giving. He's like, oh, like he needs to learn that life is tough, right? That's not a good reason to not help someone. If your reason was, I literally don't have the means to do this or whatever, yeah, that's a fair reason. Like, you shouldn't be expected to help someone support their lives if you can't do that for them, right? But again, I hate the reasons they give here. Like, I don't want to help them because I'll be stuck helping them. I'm not his dad. he would have ditched me. And if that's true, I don't think this guy's your friend. I'll say it. Like, if you genuinely feel like you two are not super close and given the opportunity he would ditch you, why are you friends with this guy at all? Like, to me, it leads me to assume there's something more about the relationship or something more about the conversation that's not being admitted here. Especially looking at this post, it says he's only been unemployed since January. That's so basically a year, right? Like from when I'm reading this and everything, it's been about a year. The job market's really rough, and I'm not telling you to support your friend. I'm telling you to be understanding, like, of his life. It's not easy to get a job that pays super well, especially when you consider how expensive things are. You know, I'm from California, so that's, you know, it's kind of worst case scenario here. I don't know. There's not a lot more to say on this, but that's where I'll leave that one. And you know what? Let's end it. Let's end this on a easy dunk, right? Because I think the last one, there's kind of a conversation to be had about, like, is this okay or not? This one will be pretty quick, I imagine. Am I overreacting? My 37 male friend is attracted to 18-year-olds. I'm 28 years old and a guy. I have a buddy who's 37. He's always been attracted and trying to talk to girls who are just barely out of high schools. I have never seen him attracted to or interested in anyone his age. He feels they're old and unattractive. I told him that an 18 to 19-year-old is way too young for even me, and I'm almost a decade younger than him. He's literally old enough to be their dad. Am I overreacting, or is it super weird that he's almost exclusively into girls who can't even drink yet? You are not overreacting. That is very weird. It's one thing if you're like, yeah, I want a girl who's, you know, within a certain age range. I don't think that's a bad thing, as long as that age range is your age range. Like, if you're like, I don't want to date a girl that's like 5 years older than me, right? But if you're saying exclusively you want literally 18-year-old girls, I think the only thing stopping you from dating a 12-year-old is the fact that it's not legal, right? Like, let's be honest. If it wasn't illegal for him to date a minor, then he'd be doing it, because 37, almost 40, right? This guy's almost 40. And the poster is right. He is old enough to be their dad, and he's looking for a relationship with them. I think a big part of this is this idea of like a power kind of dynamic within a relationship. It's for a lot of people who don't feel like they have a lot of control over their lives, and so they look for it by dating someone younger so they can kind of have this authority over them, which is not a good thing. And I don't think you should continue to be friends with this guy. I don't know. It doesn't say you guys are like coworkers or how you guys came to be friends. If he's like if he's like your best friend and he's doing shit like this, I think it's on you to say, hey, that's weird. Stop doing that. What you're looking for is unhealthy, and I think will only lead to problems later in your life. Because if you continue to kind of be friends with him and be like, yeah, it's cool, it's whatever, like, that's Dave, that's how he is, you're part of the problem. Like, you're basically endorsing someone who's like pretty close to being a pedophile, right? Like, if he could date a 16-year-old, it sounds like he wouldn't really have a problem with that. I don't know how you became friends. If you're coworkers, I think it's a little harder because there's this idea you have to see them all the time. So if you're so direct and confrontative, it can be difficult. But if you're just like buddies who don't live near each other and don't really have to interact on the day-to-day, this is a very easy kind of conversation to have. Especially over text, which I think it'd be better to do it on a call so he can hear your voice and it kind of hits him a little harder. But I wouldn't blame you for choosing to just text him, say, hey, even if you don't mean it this way, I think it implies a really strong power dynamic that you hold over them. And again, I think it's kind of important to give some grace where you can. Say, hey, I don't think you're a pedophile, even if you do think they're a pedophile like I do. I think you're just looking for someone kind of young, right? I think you're looking for someone with energy in their life. And there's plenty of people like that within our age range, or within your age range, right? I don't want you to think I think less of you. Even if you're nice to them and they don't have an issue with you, it implies a power dynamic that I think can be kind of unhealthy for you and them. It's a long text to send or to say over call. But that would be how I think I'd go about it if I was 28 and had a friend that was 37 and was talking to 18-year-olds. Just do it with love, because if you don't do it with love, he'll just completely ignore everything. And even doing it with love, he might still ignore everything. So that was this first segment of whatever this is. Tony Talks. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it yet. I just find that there's a lot of interesting stories and whatnot that I see online that I've always wanted to kind of talk about or have an outlet to speak on. And I think this would be a fun way to do it. And I've gotten into playing Call of Duty lately. And so I was like, oh, this would be a great kind of background thing to put on while I do that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm Valiant, or Tony. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll watch the next one. Have a good one.